Hello. This is the final deliverable for Rytmo, reaching you through music opportunities. Hi, everyone. So, my research, Rytmo is a nonprofit organization aiming to equip, empower, and educate underserved youth through music education and production, currently with 8 staff on board. And we identified 3 problems from our research. One was that a lot of the money that was coming into the organization was in the form of grants. This was non-sustainable, non-long-term revenue. And so our first goal was to identify additional long-term revenue opportunities. We also saw that the business lacked a marketing strategy to really reach new students and new instructors. So we wanted to develop a marketing strategy to reach the target audience. And then also a problem that we found was that with what Rytmo wanted to do, a lot of their ambition, they needed either more staff or there would be increased burden on staff. So we wanted to optimize internal personnel infrastructure to reduce that burden on staff. And so these were the goals that we had moving into our research. And here is our deliverables. First, the expansion of revenue and data tracking. Second, the social media optimization and marketing. And finally, focusing on that organizational leadership structure. And you can see how we divided that up with this chart.
Going into expanding revenue streams, these are their current revenue streams that they're currently working with. So they are currently working with Waymakers, getting around 48 hours per week, around $60 per lesson, short-term funding from BMI Foundations and Samuel Adams Trust, along with long-term funding from Mighty Counts and Cancer Kinship. Ways that we found that they could optimize these revenue streams is to contract longer terms. We found that they should renew and extend contract lengths to create more consistent cash flow, increase billing hours by creating consistent contractual weekly hours, workshops and one-on-ones to monetize tutoring beyond the basic curriculum, and to focus on new industry techniques and skills that are not currently present, and personalization. So connecting with students and parents to really build that loyalty to Rytmo rather than relying on independent contractors.
We also recommend Rytmo to change the structure of their letters of intent, as Rytmo needs to diversify the amount of partnerships and sponsorships they have. We recommend them to reach out to more organizations, potential sponsors, and other organizations for funding. And in that, we recommend them to change their structure according to, making it more concise and also attaching the impact report just to debrief.
So since Rytmo didn't have an impact report on their website, we decided to make a draft template for them so they can benefit from using this impact report in informing the audience of how Rytmo achieves its mission and also allow audiences to infer the outcomes of Rytmo's curriculum and work. So we highlighted in the impact report Rytmo's curriculum as well as their impact not only locally but also globally in multiple different countries. And finally, we showcase the actual statistical impact from data from Rytmo's tests that they had student evaluation outcomes that shown an increase in test scores results from Rytmo's instructions and also their finances categorized within short-term and long-term funding and also their sources of revenue.
And then ways for Rytmo to optimize their social media and marketing. We found that these 3 platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, are great ways to really expand to their target audience, along with all the tools that each platform supplies them with.
As Rytmo goes into marketing themselves online, we recommend them to diversify the ways they market, for example, using impact stories or educational content or volunteer spotlights. This will keep the engagement rate high, which will um, help increase the number of potential fundraising events and also new customers, whether that's partnerships or individual students.
Additionally, on the right-hand side, we made some draft Instagram posts from their draft, like an Instagram template, as well as a template for their Instagram story showcasing their students' music on their stories.
And then we're going to go into the organizational leadership and restructure.
This is a potential structure Ritmo can implement when they restructure themselves. We recommend this as it will delegate the responsibilities to a larger amount of people, which will reduce the burden on the current staff, and also it will as it will have a lower amount of responsibilities per person. That means they can be more productive while keeping the labor costs similar, and it also implements a volunteer program, which will um, allow to increase the capabilities of the staff while keeping the labor costs down.
So suggested recruitment process is to attract instructors by posting on job sites, social media platforms, and through word of mouth, bringing them into the interview process and then into their program onboarding, really integrating the new instructors into Rytmo's operations and curriculum and sharing points of communication, and then retaining instructors through hosting board events, community events, and just to really establish a strong working culture. Along with recruitment best practices, we'll get into the handshake profile following this, but along with application formatting, updating job postings and hiring info sessions, and having an applicant tracking system. A cost-effective option we found was Google Forms application and creating like that master instructor spreadsheet.
So next steps for Handshake is first creating a company issue Rytmo Handshake account and also reaching out to local university asking if they can use their Handshake. And secondly, also post any music internship or volunteer openings that Rytmo wants to see happen. And finally, screen the student applications that comes in, conduct interviews, and continue with any student onboarding processes. So here's just a sample of a social media marketing intern position that Rytmo can use on Handshake.
And then also with onboarding, we identified three very important practices to undertake. First is clear communication. So that means orientation meetings with instructors, and then also pairing each new hire with a Rytmo mentor for the point of contact, but also for mentorship and to just sort of make sure that new hires are very comfortable. Also is a centralized Slack. This is a main platform for instructor communication with Rytmo leadership. And Slack is very unique because it allows instructors to utilize organized group channels, but also have main channels for the entire staff to use. And then also is a program database. This will store past and present data, including instructor contact info, committee members and roles, active status, and then their term and year.
And then finally, it's important to note some recruitment and responsibilities for the volunteers specifically. So utilizing like a university or college network with like bulletins or career center can be very important, as well as like online volunteer platforms such as Volunteer Match and Idealist. And then finally, like the responsibilities. So safety of the students is extremely important, as well as tutoring responsibilities and like actually fundraising support. So these are like day-to-day roles of volunteers. And that concludes our report.